The Scar of the Past Part 1. A Journey of Discovery and the Intersection of Destiny Chapter 1. Hidden Scar. Since returning from the battlefield, I have felt an invisible void lingering in my soul. I was no longer the resilient warrior I once was. I had become a lost man in the midst of civilian life. Every early morning, when the sunlight had yet to blaze across the sky, I would take walks in the park near my home. It was in these quiet moments that I sought a semblance of peace, if only fleetingly, to forget the ghosts of my past. But on one particular day, as my worn-out boots softly crunched along a gravel path, fate arranged an unexpected encounter. In that serene space, a figure emerged in the distance, a German shepherd with matted, dirty fur and a gaunt body. At first, I assumed it was just another stray searching for warmth in a cold world. Yet, as I drew closer, one detail made my heart pound. On the dog's left side ran a long, ragged scar exactly like the one I had witnessed during those horrific moments when I lost my dear friend Luke and his loyal companion, a dog named Rusty. The dog's eyes seemed to hold an ocean of memories, and in that instant, I sensed a strange convergence between past and present. I knelt down and, with a trembling voice, asked, "Rusty, could you be Luke's dog?" For a brief moment, those eyes appeared to spark with recognition, then fell silent, ready, it seemed, to conceal painful truths. Chapter 2. The gentle breeze carried the scent of damp earth and wild grass, mingled with the raw memory of war. I recalled the days spent with Luke, laughing together in the midst of pouring rain and explosions, and the anguish of witnessing irretrievable loss. The dog stood still, its eyes following my every move with both caution and fragile trust. I crouched down, hoping that a familiar tone might soothe its loneliness, saying softly, "Don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you." In that moment, an indescribable connection blossomed between us, as if our souls were intertwined by the fragments of a painful past, yet filled with both anxiety and an insatiable desire to understand. This creature who, perhaps like me, was wrestling with memories that time could not heal. It dawned on me that this encounter was not mere coincidence. It was a summons from my past, a reminder that some scars refuse to fade away. Chapter 3. Mysterious Signs. In the days that followed, I returned to the park time and again, desperate to catch another glimpse of Rusty, and as if fate had ordained it, every morning that dog would appear in a secluded corner of the park. Initially, I felt only curiosity, but gradually, each encounter stirred a cocktail of emotions in me, ranging from solace in shared suffering to inexplicable dread as my past resurfaced. On a drizzly afternoon, as twilight crept in, I decided to follow Rusty's trail. The dog led me into a small grove at the edge of the park, where the dim glow of the sunset filtered through the leaves. Everything there seemed to harbor secrets that only those who had lived the horrors of war could understand. As I ventured deeper into the woods, the crunch of dead leaves underfoot echoed like the steps of ghosts, reminding me of losses too profound to forget. Then, amidst the hushed whisper of the wind and nature's quiet lament, Rusty emerged from the undergrowth, standing silently, eyes fixed upon me with an expression of deep contemplation and alertness. I approached slowly, aware that my heart's rapid beating signaled that everything was about to change. "Rusty, do you remember me?" I whispered, my voice laced with both longing and hope. The dog offered no words, yet its eyes unlocked a doorway back to the bitter memories of battle, to friends lost, and to the man I used to be, a soldier now haunted by the past. As raindrops began to fall, I realized that Rusty was far more than an ordinary stray. He was a living symbol of life and death, loss and fragile hope. Every wrinkle, I recalled the last time I saw his radiant face, his warm smile, and the moments filled with unwavering trust in life, now nothing more than a distant echo in my mind. Luke's image was inseparable from Rusty's. The loyal dog who had once stood by his side, now confronting Rusty, I felt the pain, emptiness, and a burgeoning hope rising from the ashes of long-buried memories. I knelt beside Rusty, trying to touch the scar on his side, as if by doing so, You've suffered so much, Rusty. Just like me, once, I murmured, my voice heavy with emotion. Rusty lifted his head, his eyes silently recounting a tale of survival, a tale of pain, loss. An unforeseen event shattered the fragile calm. On a foggy afternoon, as I sat by a small stream in the forest, I heard a soft knock on the door of a nearby abandoned cabin. My heart pounded. Was this another ghost from my past, or a new challenge set forth by destiny? Stepping outside, I recognized the faint silhouette of the same mysterious man we had encountered in the park. But this time, his eyes no longer held only cold indifference. They were clouded with regret and sorrow. I know I was wrong, he whispered, his voice subdued amid the night. Our ensuing conversation unfolded in the quiet gloom of that old house. He spoke of his past, of the shattered pieces left behind by war, of men like him caught in the merciless vortex of fate, and of decisions made from which there was no escape. I once believed controlling war dogs would maintain strength, but I never imagined that feelings could overpower any command, he confessed, his gaze steeped in sorrow. His words unlocked a new understanding within me, recognizing that even those labeled as enemies carried their own wounds and remorse. Still, Rusty, though his eyes betrayed caution, remained by my side, a silent affirmation that every living soul deserves a second chance. Chapter 6. A crossroads between two worlds. Tense moments stretched on, each second echoing with the beat of my heart and the murmur of the wind through the trees, as if nature itself were urging me to make a choice. Rusty doesn't belong to you, I shouted, my voice trembling with both anger and the pain of old wounds. The man stood unmoved, his expression unyielding, as if his every word had been preordained. But then, at the height of the tension, Rusty lunged at him with an anger I had never witnessed before. With roaring growls and fierce barks, he attacked, as if declaring that the past could not be controlled or possessed. I rushed forward to pull Rusty away from the dangerous confrontation. But at that moment, I realized that this struggle was not merely between me and the man. It was a battle between past and present, between those who had suffered and the hope of rebuilding a brighter future. In the chaos, a transformation stirred within me, a quiet awakening, a vow made not only to protect Rusty but also to confront the shadows of my own history. Though our origins lay in the fragments of a dark past, together we could choose a new path, a path where love and loyalty would ultimately overcome fate. This marks the temporary end of Part 1. Part 2 will continue with new chapters, unveiling the mysteries of Rusty's past, the quest for truth. Each heavy step carried us toward a gray, fading afternoon sky. In my heart, the image of Rusty's scar continuously reminded me that every mark of the past holds a story that time cannot easily erase. Every moment dragged on, merging with the howling wind and the sighs of nature, echoing the soul of a man who had endured too much loss. I recalled the dark nights on the battlefield, gazing into Rusty's eyes full of both cautious hope and silent determination. I wondered if there was any escape from the ghosts of our past. Rusty, my silent and steadfast friend, seemed to watch my every move. I knew that, despite the haunting memories, we had to find a way forward. The path ahead was no longer the well-worn road of peaceful days before the war. It was a rugged trail where each step demanded we confront both pain and the possibility of rebirth. Chapter 8. The battle within the darkness. That night, under a gloomy sky, I found temporary refuge in a small cabin on the forest's edge. Together with Rusty, I sat at an old wooden table, the dim glow of an oil lamp casting a soft yet melancholic light. In that quiet moment, memories flooded back, the fierce battles, the anguished cries of my comrades, and the deep sorrow of losing cherished souls. Rusty, you've suffered more than I can imagine. But tonight I must face the truths hidden within me, I whispered, as tears silently escaped my eyes. As I struggled to piece together the shards of my shattered heart, a knock resounded at the door. My pulse raced. Was this another echo of my past, or a new challenge delivered by fate? When I opened the door, I saw once again the faint outline of the man we had met at the park. But this time his eyes were not as cold. They held a mixture of confusion and regret. "I know I did wrong," he murmured, his voice fragile in the night. That conversation unfolded slowly in the quiet of the old cabin. He recounted his past, of the fragments left by the war, of men ensnared by destiny and the consequences of irrevocable decisions. "I once believed that controlling war dogs was the way to harness power, but I never foresaw that emotions could override even the strictest orders," he explained, his eyes filled with sorrow. His words opened a new door in my mind, a realization that even those once deemed enemies might carry wounds and remorse. And yet Rusty, though his gaze remained wary, stood by me as if silently affirming that every creature deserves a second chance. Chapter 9. Liberating the Past. Next morning, as faint rays of sunlight broke through the treetops, Rusty and I decided to leave the shelter of that old cabin. Our journey toward freedom was not merely an escape from the past, but a step toward liberating our inner selves. We trekked through dense forests where every step was a challenge posed by nature and our own inner demons. I recalled the days on the battlefield when every comrade was a piece of my soul. But now, those pieces needed to be reassembled into the portrait of a new self, a person no longer imprisoned by the grim memories of war. By a clear stream, I retrieved the military tag that Rusty had inadvertently left behind. This tag was not only a reminder of a dark past but also a symbol that, although we were once soldiers, we had the right to choose another way. "I refuse to live in the shadow of war," I murmured, gazing into the flowing water as if it held the answers to the unspoken questions. Rusty gently touched my hand, as if lending me his strength, and in that moment, I understood. To free ourselves from the past, we must accept the pain, acknowledge the losses. Under a star-studded sky, I would speak to Rusty about the dreams left unfulfilled, about the belief that no matter how haunted the past may be, every new day brings the promise of hope. Treading along deserted paths, we encountered others who had endured similar anguish, veterans returning home, souls striving to rebuild their lives from the ruins of war. Their stories, though filled with tears, resonated with a resilient spirit and a faith in rebirth. One afternoon, while resting in a small village, I met an elderly woman with gentle eyes. She said, "Every scar, painful as it may be, is proof of your courage. It reminds us that no matter how harsh life becomes, there is always a spark of light within." Her words became a balm for my wounded heart. I realized then that Rusty was more than just a relic of my past. He was a living testament to new life, to loyalty, and to the freedom that comes from choosing love over hate. In a sacred moment under the silvery moonlight, as Rusty lay beside me, I made a silent vow. I will no longer let the past weigh us down. I will forge a future with every beat of my heart, a future that Rusty and I truly deserve. Together with new friends we met along the way, I began to write new chapters, a chronicle of healing, hope, and genuine love. We organized gatherings to share our stories, and slowly, the brutal memories of war softened under the power of compassion and community. Chapter 11. The Final Confrontation. The darkness was not entirely vanquished. One rainy afternoon, with wind lashing against the trees, we unexpectedly encountered the man who once claimed, "Rusty belongs to me." This time, the air was heavier, as though fate had drawn us into an inevitable clash. The man appeared by the stream, his eyes now a blend of regret and determination. "Do you think I can simply forget the past?" he bellowed, his voice laden with reproach and remorse. I stood firm, clutching the military tag in my pocket, a reminder that no matter how dark the past, there was no turning back. Rusty is not a possession or a tool of war. He is a living being with feelings and a yearning for freedom, I declared, my voice resolute. The confrontation was waged not merely in words but in raw emotion. Rusty, driven by his fierce instincts, stood by my side, his gaze fixed on the man as if ready to defend me at all costs. The tension peaked when the man raised his hand, as if issuing an order. But then, in that decisive moment, I sensed something unexpected, a sliver of empathy piercing through his hardened exterior, as if he too was tormented by the inescapable fragments of his past. I have done unforgivable things, he admitted in a weary sigh, his eyes drowning in sorrow. But I have also lost what was most precious to me, my ability to love, my faith in life. In that suspended moment, time seemed to stand still. I lowered my voice. If you feel such pain, let me help you. But you must let Rusty be free to live and love on his own terms. This silent exchange, laden with the weight of bygone scars, opened a new chapter, of battle not over ownership, but for the liberation of a wounded soul. Chapter 12. The radiance of love and rebirth. In the days following our final confrontation, the atmosphere lightened. The man, burdened with unyielding regret, departed to seek redemption in distant places. Rusty and I continued our journey, each step slowly leading us toward a future filled with possibility. Every new dawn was only a part of us. It did not define our entire existence. Rusty was living proof that even when one's life is scarred by war, loyalty, love, and the thirst for freedom can prevail. One afternoon, I said softly, my voice imbued with deep conviction, now we must cherish every moment of the present and transform old scars into the strength to create a brighter tomorrow. Rusty tilted his head gently, as if affirming my vow. In that instant, against the backdrop of rustling leaves and the fading glow of dusk, I knew that despite the challenges that still lay ahead, we were ready to face them together, with hearts unshackled by the past and brimming with hope and love. The end of Part 2. Though this is only the continuation of our long and arduous journey, it vividly captures the turning point where we choose to confront, forgive, and embrace a future unbound by old wounds. The scar of the past, though painful, stands as a testament to our inner strength and unwavering loyalty. If these words have touched your heart and rekindled a belief in rebirth after loss, then let us continue this journey together, a journey where the past is not a burden, but a source of inspiration to live every moment to its fullest. Final note: the scar of the past is not merely a journey confronting the ghosts of war. It is an affirmation that no matter how deep the pain may run, love and freedom will always find a way. I hope that through these pages, you find the strength to overcome life's hardships and dare to dream of a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. Until our next journey, this concludes the complete English translation of the story The Scar of the Past.